Hello, and welcome to the TecHome Builder webcast. I'm your host, John Galante, president of AE Ventures, and I'm excited to have joining me today Mike Moore. He's been around since the beginning of TecHome Builder in 2001, and we've had, an ongoing dialogue for almost 20 years now, which has been rich and has covered a lot of ground in 20 years in terms of home technology and technologies for builder sales and marketing efficiencies. Our topic today is about some of the changes going on in the market in the wake of the COVID pandemic and opportunities that they're creating, and an idea for maybe seizing that moment while it's here for builders. So before we get there, though, I did want Mike to do a little bit of a self-introduction and kind of give his track record in the building industry and maybe a little bit of the before that shaped his perspective, and then also, what he's been working on lately. So Mike, stage is yours for a little bit.
Well, thank you. And as John said, we've been having these conversations for what now is a long time. So, and all around technology and the coming new economy and what we should be doing and have kind of ignored because we've been able to. I was raised to be a coach and went into business. So it was a natural transformation to me to get into consulting and coaching and business coaching. But I came through retail and interior design and the design center and then new home sales. And so for me, coming in from the outside the building industry first, looking at what was going on, and I started speaking full-time in 1992. And in 1994 at the design center in New York, at an event with all of the suppliers for design and options upgrades and interior design, I was challenging them that the internet was going to change everything and that we would have handheld devices and people shopping remotely, and how were they going to deal with that? Now, not to be really strange, but I had met a doctor in New York at the time who was dealing with the AIDS explosion, and he had heard me talk about what was coming with technology. And he actually said the idea and pushback of consumers shopping and liking the shopping experience, that once the technology was in place, it would only take a pandemic to accelerate us forward and speed up this transition. Because we're all comfortable when we're being successful. In the home building industry, coming out of the Great Recession, we've had a nice run. So we've had a lot of technology available to us, but gosh, just to hit our numbers as an industry, we haven't needed to change. And my take on that is that we've for far too long settled for far too little by thinking way too small, because the market's out there for us to double and triple the number of homes sold. Now, when I say that, I get builders that go, well, we can't build what we have. Yeah, but we could be sold out 9 to 15 months in advance. And in the mid 90s, I started talking about new home retailing and the retail process for builders who are manufacturers of their product they retail. And what we've got to do now is take advantage of this time to leap forward with technology, our product and our processes, and meet the customer where they are and with what they want. So for me, I've been on this. I also developed the first online design center in the late 90s and was online with a design center in 2000, 2001, as John said, when we met, and off we went. Well, in 2009, that was rebranded and is now out in the market as Studio Chateau, which did over $2 billion through the system online. And we still are marvel. I'm not involved in that now, but the group that is running with it is doing an amazing job. And we marvel that builders still hand out lists and printed lists, and just this morning talking with a home buyer who was handed a 160-page list printout of the options available from JD Edwards, the accounting system, from sales. That was the way to present the options and upgrades for a new home purchase today. And it's flabbergasting because we're in the middle of the Amazonification of everything, and we're not making it easy for buyers to buy homes and easy for buyers to personalize their home. We actually are making it hard. So I'll get back to John and that point. For me, my take has been for a while, I think we're the only industry that sells less people that want to buy from us. And then once we sell them less than they want to buy. But we can do it because we can still make a profit. That's not the issue. If the builders really want to move more dirt and more money and maximize ROI, we need to address all the people who aren't buying from us, that we're not selling, and not settle for 10 or 11 or 9% of the shopping market buying a new home. And we can do that. And we can do that today if we seize this opportunity.
Yeah, so thanks for the background. I disappeared for a second there, thanks to network congestion, I guess.
Yes.
But I know most of the story, so I'm going to fill in the blanks with my imagination. Mike, so we are in this moment right now. As I mentioned in my blog post this week, we just put the finishing touches on our quarterly stat pack for Q2 2020, which has been an interesting quarter to say the least.
Yeah.
And starts are down around 10%, projected to be up about the same percentage next year. But permitted value and permitted units in the first half were actually up. So I think builders see what we've been hearing about, which is the pandemic has triggered a pretty massive shift in the market with these liberal work from home policies that are being established by corporate giants. These tier one cities that saw inflows of population, of residential population for 10 years, really starting with the great housing depression, in 2009, we seem to be headed full force in the other direction with folks leaving the city. Multifamily is a category that's going to need to be watched closely, because I think a lot of it is getting out of multifamily and looking to single family, and it's suburbs, exurbs, tier two towns and cities that are going to see the inflow of population. And many of those geographies have been the places where single family home building has thrived historically. So a question is, the market dynamics like this only last so long, and the opportunity is nowish. So is there a way, leveraging technology, for the builder to seize that moment, seize that market? But before you get there, let's just speak to me about your sense of the trends in terms of the buyers. Is this theorized trend of urban outflow, do you see that as real? Does it have power behind it as a long-term trend? What do you think?
You mentioned 2009 and the downturn and Great Recession. Back then, I was talking a lot about, and even with you and some of our events, and talking about the fact that for me, it wasn't a recession. It was part of the transition to this new economy that we're in. We didn't and weren't prepared for it. And even the numbers during the downturn showed that we had 20 or 30% of people shopping that wanted a new home. Number one reason they wanted a new home was to personalize it before they moved in. And builders kept building spec homes ahead of themselves and wondering why they couldn't capture more than 10%. So two things to answer yours there. One, this isn't a reaction just to the pandemic. It's an acceleration from the pandemic into this new economy, which will be more work from home, different lifestyles, different working styles. The product has to change slightly, which we're all talking about, and work from home and office space and study from home and schools. we've got 3 generations on the planet right now that have only known the economic business the way it's been. But I had an uncle who's passed away who was an architect whose father was a blacksmith. And he used to talk about when he had to turn his blacksmith shop into a mechanic shop and start working on cars and working on different things. We're going through a transition right now that's as significant as agriculture to industrial. We're now going from industrial into the digital age. It's been molding for 25, 30 years, but we're there now and we're going across this bridge. So my encouragement to builders is this isn't a time to figure out how to get through this. It's a time to embrace the fact that we can sell more homes. I've also been saying for 15 years, we haven't done a bad job selling millennials. We've done a bad job selling all new home buyers. We sell the 10% of people over the last 20 years. 10% of the market we sell is because they have to move. But now we've got, coming out of that last downturn, lifestyle became the American dream. Not home ownership, but lifestyle. A lot of that was travel. Okay, well, this is obviously changing that to make, but we're the beneficiaries. The change on this is home and family and values. Gee, we figured out that actors, athletes, musicians, and again, I come from a sports background, but the celebrity society isn't really essential. We don't need any of them to really live a good life, but we need a good home life and a good place to gather and work from. And this isn't going to change. So my take there is don't, even with the agents, I keep reminding them, don't figure out how to sell online to get through this till it comes back to normal. What if you figure out how to sell online, and as a new home salesperson, you can sell 2 or 3 communities at a time, and now the builder can have, and I hate to say this to salespeople, but I've been challenging them for 25, 30 years. Technology is going to replace the average salesperson. It's not going to replace them all. But if my best salespeople can now work on 2 or 3 communities by appointment online, I'm going to reduce my overhead with my sales cost and sell more homes.
So let's talk about the tool set, though. Let's talk about kind of buyer experience. You know, what does a builder need digitally to sell the community, sell in the community? I'm talking about the schools and, you know, the location, right? And then, or sell the development, sell the home model and lot, and then also populate it with a robust set of options and upgrades that personalizes the home. I mean, do we have the technology today for that sort of end-to-end delivery?
We do, and those that have been at it for 20 years on the virtual side and the 3D renderings and 3D tours and Matterports there. And we've got the visualization tools, and now they're ramping up, looking at, even as you disappeared with internet, I saw a demo the other day of a new, one of the existing suppliers. We won't make this an ad, but that's working off of one supercomputer so that all of our devices just become screens. So we're in real time and we can walk the community together. And I'm at home and you're at home, but we can walk the community together, walk into homes, and all of that's digitized. Well, we have the technology for that. We have the technology to replace the entire physical shopping experience. Can I get in my car and drive around the community to see the schools and the locations? We can do all of that. And the builders have jumped on the online selling, and they've been working on online selling. But now, are we really making the experience easier? I said the Amazonification of everything here. Are we making it easy for buyers to find us, to buy a home? Are we making it easy for someone who bought a home 7 to 10 years ago to find our homes, realize why a new home today, if it's truly new, if it's a new home, and I'm going to reiterate that because most builders build old homes that haven't been lived in.
Yeah.
Traditionally, we're building to old codes. We're building 4 or 5 year back code, and then we're just building to code.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer Disney let us down because the House of the Future went away.
Yeah.
I grew up going to the House of the Future to see what the Jetson type thing. Well, we haven't had that for the consumer to see. So if I go looking, and I bought my house 7 to 10 years ago, and I go looking, I need to be able to look online, and I need to be able to find out, is that house better than the one I'm in?
Yeah.
For 15 years, I've been asking builders, what's your home do for me today that the
Yeah.
one I bought 5 to 10 years ago doesn't do?
Yeah.
So that's first the product, then
Right.
the process online. Are you engaging the full process online? Are you teaching your agents how to engage online?
Yeah.
Because it's a little like the Food Network.
Yeah.
If you
So,
can
but
cook,
let me stop you there, Mike,
yeah,
before you go to that, the kind of the people solution
sure,
mesh, which is always critical with technology because no machine's going to take, especially in sales, all the way home. For a purchase as big and as complicated, there's going to need to be some sort of personal touch. Maybe way less than there has been
yeah,
historically, but there's going to need to be some. But let's talk about, so this technology tool set exists today
yes.
for cradle to grave selling. What is that investment like from a dollars and cents perspective for the builder? So there's like the acquisition costs for these tool sets, then there's the development cost, and then there's the people cost for everybody kind of re-engineering process. I mean, what level of builder do you need to be from a resources perspective to be able to grab a hold of the stream?
Now, if you're a builder who builds models, and the virtual model came out and builders jumped on and they tried to not build models and virtual model. That was years ago, and the tool wasn't advanced enough. But more than that, what most builders did was built plan one and virtual plan 2 and 3. And you had no proof of concept that my virtual model I was looking at was real, because they didn't want to spend the money to virtual one because we already built it. So the challenge in this transition is it can cost you less if you'll build one model and virtual that model. Now, for that one model, that's more expensive. But now you don't have to build 2, 3, and 4 because those plans, or you could have 10 plans. Because if I can stand in the model, see it, and then see the virtual model, and they're identical, which they are, now as a consumer, I can believe the
Now I
other.
trust.
Yeah. Now I can buy those. Given a couple, 3 years, don't need the plan that's built either, do I? But for transition, so the transition made correctly costs the builder less today,
Uh-huh.
but it's going to be more spent on technology and less spent on models and decor. Holy smokes, there's builders that I deal with that spend $2 million in decorating and finishing the models. Forget about the cost of building the model. It's there's the ability to make this transition. The real issue then too is if I do that, and I think you in the blog said something, and you've said something recently, even if it wasn't in the blog, to me that resonated. I've been talking, and in my leadership conference last year, I had a group of the builder investors in that conference who told the builders if they would listen to what I'm saying about selling farther out in advance, these banks and venture capitalists would give the builder more money to build more homes, buy more dirt, because we can be sold out 9, 12, 15 months, although in California, you can only give you under contract for 12, but I can put you under contingency farther out. And when you hit 12, I can roll you into a hard contract. But we can do that, which gives us the time to personalize, which is what the people we're not selling, that's what they want. I own a home. I'm not in a hurry to buy a new home. I go look and yours isn't enough different from mine. It's not energy efficient. It's not smart. It's not smart at all. It's got a Alexa, blink, and ring doorbells. That's a bunch of pieces that I can put in an apartment. That's not a smart connected house. On top of that, it's connecting me to Amazon instead of me to my house. So if we really build new homes, pare down how we go about selling them, we can reduce our cost and increase our sales by selling the people we're not selling. Because right now, 20 to 30% of the shopping market goes home to their existing home, which has equity and they have credit, and they redecorate. We want them to buy. The number one response still from builders to buyers asking, how much am I going to have to invest at the design studio or for options and upgrades? The number one response in shopping builders is still some iteration of, oh, you don't have to do anything. Our standards are wonderful, but you can do anything you want to after you move into the home. That means you're selling new home fixer-uppers. And if I own a home, I don't want to do that, because the design studios over the years, the designers I train, first question they ask is, why'd you buy a new home instead of a used home? And over 85% of the buyers answer is, I didn't want to fix up somebody else's mess.
Yeah. So you think the investment is well within reach of
Yes.
a regional builder that's building 100 homes a year? If they're building models, there's actually a pretty direct cost benefit analysis that says this is doable financially. How long does it take somebody to go from next to nothing in terms of their digital selling platform to full circuit?
Well, what's the next community they're working on? How far out is it? Because first of all, just looking at budgets, you could push that community back slightly, even with your banking and your issues, and do this in the same amount of time. Or you can get part of it up and finish the rest as you're going on the fly. And so it's not, it's the companies are out there, the tools are out there. It's for a builder to take a breath and think, how can I address this differently? Now, my background, I said, I have an advantage. I'm a new home buyer. I would only look at a new home. At your events in the past, at IBS, I've asked 1,500 building executives if they would fit in the market that is the new home buyer. In other words, you would only look at new homes, or you strongly prefer a new home. Only 16 of 1,500 home builder executives could raise their hand.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, on a light side, then I said, how many of you stayed on schedule and only selected options from the options that your company offers? And there were only 2 hands left, because they didn't buy a production home or a home on a schedule. Their company built them a custom home. So there is a bias in our industry that we're full of used home buyers. So the biggest challenge isn't the technology. It isn't the budget. Those are there. It's, can you take a step back and go, I need to think like my home buyer. My new home buyer, I'm not selling. They don't have to move. Am I selling them something they want? My favorite quote from Jobs, he was challenged on stage at one of his events by one of the techies who said, Steve, you don't understand the technology. And he flattered him first. You can go on YouTube and say, how did Steve Jobs handle a heckler? And you'll get it. And he says, here's the thing. You could even be right. I might not know the technology. If you want to sell a lot of something, you have to start with the user experience and work back to the technology. That fits us as a building industry. We don't think of the home ownership experience and then work back to our process. We go, how do we build it? How do we build it cheaper and sell it cheaper, instead of how can I do this that will make more people want to buy my home?
Yeah. And I think we all become victims of our own business processes, right? And because the options and the upgrades are one of the last things from a process perspective that are sold, we give it that level of importance. And one of the things you're saying is to bring options, playing around with options, the personalization function up front in the sales process is going to enlarge the market for your homes, because now you've created this different, regardless of whether you're smart, energy efficient, etc., probably more important than those things is that it's the home that the home buyer wants, right?
Yeah.
And
Think
it's
about the
the four things.
millennials.
If you have the performance differential and the personalization, now you're in a really interesting position.
Yes. Think healthy, fit, and fabulous. Healthy is the house really new and built to the latest and greatest energy efficiency and standards? Is it healthy? And then fit is it connected? Because you can be healthy but out of shape. So if my house is built to the latest technology for energy efficiency, but it's not in shape, which connected makes the house in shape. And then fabulous is the only thing I think is fabulous is what I pick out. I want my ugly as a home buyer, not your pretty.
Yeah.
And some of the conversations with some of the leading sales people in the country and trainers, when we talk about millennials and they talk about first time buyers and, oh, well, I'm worried about their budget. Okay, this is a generation that 68% of them have a tattoo. Do you think any of them would have a tattoo if the tattoo parlor picked out the tattoo? Not a chance. We've grown up in a customization era. I buy Nikes, I'm going to design them online and get them exactly the way I want. I can walk into a store and design a Converse and they'll make it in the back of the store. I can take pictures of myself and get a custom made suit. And I can do all that from home in the most part. I talked about the store, but I can do that. And we've made it too hard. We sell them the most expensive thing that they're going to buy and then tell them they can do whatever they want to after they move in. That would have been like Apple saying, we'll sell you that iPhone 8 and over the next 6 months, we'll send you upgrades to it, but it'll never be the newest phone.
Yeah.
New, and the last year and a half asking agents in sessions, how many of you expect when you buy new for it to have the latest and greatest in it? They all say yes. Okay, how many of us would buy a car, call it new, if it didn't have Bluetooth and radar? No miles and none of the new technology is an old car that hasn't been driven. And we build a lot of old homes that haven't been lived in.
Yeah.
They're still wonderful. What we do is amazing, but we're settling for that 10% capture. Builders buy dirt and bank based on, if I get my 10% capture of the market, I'm profitable. But what if we could double that, triple that?
So we could go on and on this, but we're running out of time. We could dedicate a whole conference to it.
Yes.
And maybe we will someday. But in the meantime, just give me, if I wanted to get started as a builder on this journey of providing that full buying journey digitally, personalization, very strong in the overall process. What's the first thing I should do?
Well, for me, there's three players you need to partner with. You need to partner with somebody who's going to be that lead virtual, that's doing virtual models, virtual tours online, that can build those for you. Most builders have that. Then you need to look at your product and say, is it really connected? Is it really energy efficient? Is it new? Is my product I'm building new? And then you need an online design process that addresses, as we said, you're not handing out lists and 3-ring binders and brochures, but that in my shopping process, can I look at my plan or look at the plans and look at all the options that are available based on the real prices? Everything's available for me. And then do I have some design consultation for that? So you've got 3 partners you need to help you get there. They're out there.
And do you consider this a business model change? Is it a business model transformation? And if so, how do you handle that, right? Because that's always, for me as a business owner, when I feel like my model's at risk or being turned on its head, then I get the heebie-jeebies, right? Yeah. So, and I don't know what the heebie-jeebies really are, but I get them.
Sure.
So I mean, from a business model perspective, what is it that I need to think about to center myself there?
Well, are you going to be a manufacturer or are you going to be a retailer that retails what they manufacture? So for me, it's the evolution. It's the reason in the 90s, first time I said, you guys are in the retail business, and I got a lot of pushback. I also started talking about the fact that what we sell is a fashion item. 2008 at Big Builder, the economist that spoke explained to them that the home had replaced the car as the new American icon. Now in the Q&A, because I was there with clients, I had to get this guy to explain what that meant. And finally, he could spit it out that the home's a fashion item. And for those guys, the Land Act guys, it's like, guys, you guys knew this, but you missed it. The zip code changes. Location, location, location is a fashion statement. It's my lifestyle and what I project as who I am. And we're in that business more today than ever. With all the value of home and family and all those things, we're in that business. So I don't think it's actually a change. I think it's the natural evolution that we're now there. People are starting to tweak it and work at it. Those that embrace it fully end to end, from the buying and shopping process through the product itself to being really new. Because, and with the interest rates where they're at, you're really afraid to build a home that's a little more expensive. Come on. I mean, I go back to, these guys at Apple. Technology just keeps getting cheaper, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Last 10 years, it's cheaper. Technology's cheaper. Yeah, everything except this $1,500 phone. And they did that because they made us fall in love with it.
Yeah.
We need to make them fall in love with their home, finished, move in. So it's a finished home, and you need to have a program to put in place to help buyers finish that home. We sell them a home and walk away from them. Even the design center business, walk away from people and go, oh no, we don't work with you after you move in. Why? Finished Home Design Center helps a builder become a new home retailer.
Yeah.
So there's my transition, is more than just upsetting the apple cart, because you're still going to build the house.
Yeah.
And
I like it's finished home, but it's also unfinished home. And we're gonna address lifetime value opportunities in our online summit, and actually in December in Phoenix as well at the TecHome Builder Summit. But hey, we're out of time. This has been a fascinating discussion as always, and I'm sure we'll have you on again to talk about other stuff. But thanks again, Mike. Appreciate your time.
Stay after it. Thank you, John, and thanks for all you do. Stay after it.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.